G'day Internet. In this video, I'm going to show you how I edit photos using DxO PhotoLab for stacking in Affinity Photo. I've got 3 images here that were all focused at different points. This one was focused on the background, this image was focused on the midground, and this image was focused on the foreground. And if I zoom in here, you can see the foreground is extremely sharp and then focus falls away very, very quickly. Because I was so close to this foreground, it was impossible to get even the background in focus, even at f11. So we need to focus stack. Now, this focus stack will be a bit tricky because the wind was blowing quite strong from the storm systems in the background. And I'll show you how I get around that using Affinity Photo. It'll be a mixture of both automatic and manual blending. So let's get into prepping these photos. I'm going to start off by, I think I'm pretty good with the color. I'm not going to touch the white balance. This was pretty accurate out of camera. What I am going to do is enable the DxO smart lighting. That just brings a bit of a balance into the whole photo. All I'm doing here is basically getting the tones where I want them to be. We'll do some final finishing later. I think I want to bring the highlights down just overall, keep them in control a bit, and that's darken the image a bit. So I'm going to lift the exposure. Then coming to the tone curve, I want to give a little bit of contrast, and I think the light contrast is just giving that little bit of pop. It did darken it down again, so I'm just going to lift that exposure again and just recover those highlights a touch. I'm just keeping an eye on my histogram that I'm not underexposed, I'm not overexposed. This stage is just about balancing the light, just getting everything where I kind of want it to be. And then I think the final thing I will do here is scroll down and enable the Deep Prime 3, which is the denoise built here in DxO PhotoLabs. It's absolutely brilliant. Okay, from here, I'm going to move across and do some local adjustments because I want to treat the sky a bit differently to the foreground. So if we go to local adjustments, I'm going to start by doing an AI mask on the sky. And as we can see, that has selected the sky, but it's kind of missed a little section up here. So what I will now do is add a submask, just grab the brush tool, and I'm just going to brush in on the sky just to get those sections back in. Now, if I zoom in here, I can see the edge around the silos a little bit rough. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually brush onto that. And then I'm going to create another submask with the AI tool and hold the minus key and select the shed, and that will completely remove it now from that mask with a lot better selection. From here, I'm going to add a bit of Clearview Plus. This is the dehazing type tool in PhotoLabs. I really want to put a bit of punch into that sky. He's bringing a bit of blue in there. I want to be careful about the colors, so I might just bring that to warm just a touch. Quite like the brightness there. So that was the main reason for selecting the sky. Get a bit of Clearview Plus, get some more detail into that. Okay, now I want to work on the foreground, so I'm going to just create a new mask here, select the graduated filter, and just do a simple little graduated line up. Just get that feather point to near the horizon. From here, I'm also going to do a little bit of Clearview Plus, just to see what that does. That gives it a bit of a brightening, and then I'm going to add some contrast back in. So that is kind of the macro contrast, and then we do a bit of micro contrast. That'll really bring some detail back into this beautiful sorghum crop here. I think I will finish the rest of that in finishing in Affinity using DxO Nik Collection. All right, I'll turn off local adjustments. Now I'm happy with what I've done here. Before we move to Affinity, what I need to do now, I'll duplicate the changes I've made in this photo across to the other two photos. And that's really, really simple. I'm just going to come down the bottom here, or I could do it up here as well, but I'm going to right click on this photo, select copy correction settings. Then I'm going to click on this photo, hold the control key, click on the second photo, right click on those and go paste correction settings, paste all correction settings. So all the changes I made to the first photo are now made to the other two, and we're ready to go to Affinity. The way I do this is I've got all three photos selected. I'm going to right click, I'm going to go export to disk. So I'm going to export these in TIFF format, full resolution in 16-bit. And I've got a little folder called in progress that I just save these to. I find that just helps keep everything nice and neat. To watch the progress of that export, you can click on the little arrow icon down here and you can see the progress. So once these have exported, we'll move across to Affinity Photo and I'll show you the next steps. Okay, so here we are in Affinity Photo, and what we need to do here is actually do the automated part of the stacking process. And to do that, we go up to File, New Image Process, and select Focus Merge. Then we click on the Add button, find the three images that we just exported, select them all and hit Open, and then hit OK. Now Affinity is going to go through and do an automatic focus stack based on what it can see in the sharpness and everything like that. Now, because there was a bit of movement in this scene, it may not do that selection the way we want it. So we will have to do a little bit of blending manually to fix that result. So here is the stacked photo now. If I scroll into the front here, I can see I'm sharp coming through. The silo is sharp, but I've got a lot of double exposure happening in this area here, and that's because of the movement. So the simple way I find to fix this is to open up the single image that had that area sharp and mask it back in over this one. So we're going to do that now. And to do that, we just go File, Open. Now I know it was the number 14 that had the back in sharp focus. Yep, that's perfect. Gonna just hit Control A to select the whole image. Control, or if you're on a Mac, Command, sorry I'm on Windows, so everything will be Windows based. C for copy. Go back to the stacked photo and Control or Command V to paste. Now that has pasted the sharp image on top of the stacked image. We can close our little sources one here. And I'm going to put a layer mask onto that, holding the Alt key. So that's just put a mask that removes everything from this image until I paint it back in. And I think what I'm going to do is just hit G for the graduated brush. I'm going to draw a graduation on that angle onto that mask. If I zoom in now, that's it. That fixed that double kind of exposure issue I had through there. Simple as. So we've done an automatic stack on this layer and we've blended back in the sharp back exposure. The main reason I wanted to do the automated section was this part of the image was very hard to manually blend, and the automatic did it brilliantly, so I'm very happy with that. From here, I'm going to hit Control, Alt, Shift, and E, which creates a new version of everything below it. So this is now my main base image where I can do some final tweaks. And for that, I'll just hit Control or Command 0 here just to center the image again. I'm going to do some Nik Collection adjustments just as finishing touches. So we come up to Pixel, come to Filter, down to Plugins, Nik Collection, and we'll go into color effects. This is by far my favorite way and my favorite program for just doing the finishing touches to a photograph. I think we will start with just a general pro contrast and see how that looks. That should give it a bit of a pop, and that will certainly improve the foreground section of the image, keeping the sky under control. Just checking what color cast is doing. No, I'm happy not to remove any cast from this image. I'm going to do a brilliance and warmth to bring some color pop into this. So let's start with a bit of saturation. Yeah, that looks nice. Don't need a lot of it, but it's just really brought the colors out in the crop and the grasses back there. And give it a touch of warmth. Only a little bit, because I want to keep that sky fairly cool. And you can already see we've gone from that to that, and that's just given it some great pop. Finally, I'll do a bit of a vignette. So that is the darken and lighten center filter. Change the shape to number 2. It's just a more natural size shape. I will bring the center luminosity up a little bit. That just helps your eye travel through to the silo. And then I will adjust the outside exposure a bit. So you can see we've gone from that to that, and that just allows your eye to come more through, up, and explore where these storms are. So I'm happy with that. We're going to apply that, go back into Affinity, and I'll do my one more little creative effect, which is a bit of an autumn effect. So just a nice little blur to mainly to the foreground. We're going to hit Control or Command J to duplicate that layer. We'll come up to Pixel, Filters, Blur, Gaussian Blur, and I'm just going to blur it to the point where I can't see the definition in the little sections. About there will do. Hit Apply. Then we're going to create a brightness and contrast adjustment layer and drag that onto the blurred layer. That means if I drop this little arrow here, that this brightness contrast adjustment is only affecting the blur layer. And I think here, just going to ramp the contrast up a fair way and a touch of brightness. Selecting the blur layer again and the opacity, I'm going to drop that to 10%, and that's added just a nice little softening to the foreground. Just taking some of the harsh out, and it gives it that little bit of a glow, which I love, you know, in all of my photos. So finally here, I'll do Control Alt Shift E again, create what I call a master layer, select all the layers, right click on the master layer and merge selected. We now have one final layer. From here, we just need to save this file back in and go back to Affinity. And here we are back in PhotoLabs. Here is our final image. I've already ranked this 5 stars, which is what I like to do with the images that I finish and really like. If you're interested in any of DxO's awesome software, whether it be PhotoLab's Nik Collection or any of their other programs, I have a 15% off discount code that you can use in the DxO store on any new licenses. Just use the discount code MurrayFox for 15% off. And I thank you again for watching my video. If you're interested in more, please, why not click on one of these videos here and subscribe to my channel. I appreciate you all very, very much. Until next time, stay safe.